Oh, so actually, fun
Hi,
fact.
we're live now. Sorry, that was my fault. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Green Party series. I asked her a question right before I hit live, so that was my fault. I'm your host, David Rich. We have a guest on for the second time, Chibu and I. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we were able to chat last night and kind of get some central points we wanted to discuss today. But first, I wanted to kick it off by asking you how your campaign is going.
Hey, it's going well, actually. Not only are people like strangers are excited for a young person to be running, they want young people in Washington, D.C., in the federal government. So they want that. And now I get to sell them not only on the fact that I'm young, but also that I have like ideas and excitement.
Right.
Yep. And so I definitely have been, I think, energized just by the willingness of people to meet me where I'm at. And my community is very Democratic heavy. So they look that I'm young and they're like, well, okay, fine. If you want to be a Green Party, we understand. The two parties aren't going to change. And now that more and more strangers, particularly rather than just like my friends and networks, are willing to start like petitioning for me, I'm I'm feeling the coalition building, and it's weird because it's happening now, but it's still really beautiful. But I'm still on this ballot. I want to get ballot access. It's the only important thing to me right now. So overall, it's been good. We were in Springfield on Saturday and Sunday.
You were or you are? You will be.
We were in Springfield on May 18th at Pride Fest and at the old Capitol Farmers Market. We'll keep being there, particularly the old farmers market. But I was in person in Springfield this past weekend.
Okay, right on. Very cool. And we're going to talk about your involvement in the protest a little bit because I really want to hear about that. And you meeting Jill Stein, who again is coming on the show in 2 weeks from today. Everybody, very excited.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. Real quick, age is a big deal in this election, especially because Biden and Trump are collectively like older than I think the Revolutionary War. But I just saw some video footage of Biden speaking at something yesterday where he was talking about an American hostage that was still being held by Hamas, and the hostage was actually in the audience.
Yep.
Oops. And it's just, it's really, age is a huge factor. And I know that like people like to see youth and frivolity, um, you know, and energy like you definitely have in candidates. So good for you. That's great. So why don't you tell us about the protest down in, where was it? It was in St. Louis.
It was. So on April 29th, April 30th, I was in St. Louis on the Metro East side of Illinois doing really just campaign stuff. So we're having a campaign community meeting. We're having a campaign fundraiser. And that was going to be all of Saturday. That was the point. I drove down from Champaign all the way down for like 2.5 hours, which is lovely because my community is big. And Wash U. So Wash U at that time had a student solidarity encampment, a solidarity for Gaza encampment, and they were being very peaceful. And they had been going on for at least the past 24 hours when Dr. Jill Stein and I were at, again, the community meeting event. So it was really just a panel getting to know myself, getting to know Dr. Jill Stein as presidential candidate, and getting to know the Greens. And it was open to the public. One of the people who worked there and one of the students who were like connected with the university, connected to the university in WashU, but also connected to the library, who just happened to be there, were like, whoa, you're Jill Stein, like you're this Green Party person. Oh my gosh, there's someone who's running for Congress. You're young. That's so cool. Like, you all should come down to the thing that's happening on my college campus. And we as a group said we don't want to just go there for like clout. We want to come there if we're invited. Like, we want to be considerate of the fact that the students are running a protest and they have goals and they have intentions. But the student was like, I'm inviting you to come so that way I can show the community that there is a presidential candidate and there's a congressional candidate who is actually supportive of us. Like, it would be really good. We would want you to come and show support and use your use her visibility in this way. We were asked to go. So after the panel, I said a speech, Jill said a speech, people asked us questions. It was in the evening time, and we often had a couple of hours to like walk around. And so Jill and I stayed together, and our campaign stayed together, and we were invited. So we both went, and we walked down from the library to the Washington University campus in St. Louis. And WashU is a private school. So it's a very good private school in Missouri, in St. Louis. It's a big school, and but it's also a private school. And so we are both mindful of the fact that I come from a public school. Like colleges, we do things I feel like a little bit differently than the private school does, but we didn't know what we were going into. When we got there, it was purely peaceful. It was like at least 50 to 60, even maybe more students. I know that at least 90 people got like arrested. So it must have been at least 100 or so students, and it was absolutely peaceful. They were in a circle. There were people who were holding the line. There were tents camped out. They had supplies. They had like medical supplies. They had food. The student leaders they decentralized. So there's student leaders who focused on food, student leaders who focused on like the chants, student leaders who focused on talking with the police and they had press liaisons. And so the students were very well organized in terms of they had thought things through. Right? These students, the leaders had thought things through, and they were students who were just observing, just like learning, seeing, asking random questions like, what is this? What is that? WashU also has a good international student population. So there's students from all over the world, present. And Dr. Jill Stein and I were able to talk with the city alderman of St. Louis. And there was 3, at least, particularly 2 who were in support of the student encampment and wanting to make sure that the students were able to demonstrate peacefully and create civil disobedience and some good trouble, again, within like the first, like these are just First Amendment things that students are leaning into. And so we were invited, we went there because Jill Stein has a little bit more experience / more clout in this. I let her take the lead in talking with the alderman and talking with the police. So she was the spokesperson for the Green Party. And it was awesome, hearing her and seeing her try to de-escalate. So when Jill Stein and I got there, the question was, how can we be of service? How can we be of use to you all, to the students? Dr. Jill Stein started doing interviews about support and being like a great presidential candidate. And I got to talk to students and say, what do you all need? What are your current demands? What are the things that you're asking for? Washington University, again, WashU in St. Louis, actually has direct investments in what they would say is in the war in Gaza. So they have, I think, like Boeing sends, not planes, but Boeing creates weapons and sends things, and they're directly affiliated with the St. Louis. Washington University has direct investments into Israel and into other companies that are directly benefiting and profiteering on the war in Gaza. So the students were very clear. Here are 4, 5, 6 companies that we want you to divest from. Here's how much money you currently spend on them. Here's how much money we want you to not spend on them. And we shouldn't do our taxpayer dollars. Jill Stein started doing interviews to help blast the students message. And then I was able to talk to students on like, what are the nitty gritties? Jill Stein and I got back together, worked with the aldermans, went over to the police chief. And the question was, now that we have a huge voice, and 2 alder women who are 2 alder people who are in the St. Louis city council, these 3 people, these 4 people are here. Let's de-escalate. Let's get rid of the tensions. Let's have a real negotiation. Let's work through this like it's a student involved protest as it is, and not something that the media is trying to make hyper indifferent, right? Because we see what's happening in Columbia. What happened at UCLA? That was kind of wild, all right? And the goal was, we don't want that to happen here. This is Midwest. This is Illinois. This is these are Illinois students. This is Missouri. Like this is St. Louis. That's not like the Wild West. We have morality. We have that sense of personhood and respect for freedom of speech. That was not the way that was happening. Both Jill Stein and the the alderwomen were talking about how there's so much police presence. There were like 3 counties. It felt like definitely the sheriff's county department was there. The schools, like the school police was there. And I've dealt with college police. Like they are who they are. They have the weapons that they have. But when I tell you these people came out with like riot gear, they had zip ties. And I was like, I use zip ties to hold things to a pole. What are you all doing with these light green, like,
that's how they handcuff you.
And that's what I learned.
Yeah.
I learned that's how they, when you don't have enough handcuffs, when you don't want to leave marks, you use zip ties.
You treat people like a trash bag and you use a zip tie.
Exactly.
It's not real quick. I want to say something real quick. And then we probably should address Darren because he's got some stuff to say here. I just want to remind people that, like, remember that part of policing is to shackle people in chains and put them in a cage. If that imagery harkens you back to another time in American history, when policing actually originated, they would hunt down runaway slaves and bring them back to justice. So let's not forget that that still is a massive human rights violation. You don't shackle somebody in chains and put them in a cage. Unless they're an actual direct threat to you or somebody else. I mean, if they're an actual physical threat, then sure, you should stop them. That's the only time. Right. I've seen cops haul away people because they didn't have a bell on their bicycle handbars. Like you don't understand that, like, by shackling people in chains and putting them in a cage, that's literally enslavement. That's literally what that is. You are taking ownership of their body. That's exactly what it is. Okay, I can go on and on. All right, so Darren Ray Funzau, sorry, I can't pronounce that right, is saying a lot of stuff about labor here, and some of these acronyms, Darren, I don't know what they mean, but we can talk about labor. He says, I've been arrested 3 times over my fight with workers' comp and SSDI and lawmakers. Well, I mean, that's admirable. So like you said us before so I'm assuming you're a Green Party member.
I am. I'm a Green Party member.
Not you, him.
Oh.
I know you are.
I'm Darren. I'm reading your some of the comments that you have.
National Workers' Comp Commission. Why is it missing from our platform? That's why I'm assuming he's a Green Party member. Why it's not explicitly stated, I don't know. But I don't know a single Green Party member that isn't some way pro labor rights and unions in some way or another. So, yeah.
Let's talk about labor. Okay.
You want to talk about labor?
Oh, I mean,
I'm sorry. Were you? I cut you off. Were you finished with the protest story? No.
Well, I get no, but Darren, I definitely want to continue to hear your thoughts. I would say for the protest. So I was I was actually very intentional. I was not going to get arrested. That was not within my cards. That's not within my playbook. That's not something that I can, that's not my role in this revolution, is to become arrested, which I value those who do. I want to make that very clear. But that was not my role. And so Dr. Jill Stein ended up getting arrested. We talked at first. I was like, oh, there's a lot of tension. It started to get darker and towards dusk. And so typically, like, what I've heard is that around like nighttime, they do a raid. And so so the police did give us some kind of warning. They told the journalists to like move back. They told the bystanders to like leave. And anyone who's still in the grass area was going to be like arrested. I assume because of the private school that they wouldn't, because these are like for anyone who may not know, Washington University is like Harvard here. Like it's private, it's very high stakes, it's very it's a great school, but it's a great private school. Mm-hmm. And these are private students who are paying tuition dollars. And again, they know exactly what they're talking about. So they had very specific demands. When Dr. Jill Stein and the aldermen were not able to like de-escalate, they got in the line, they held the line. They got into the circle. I was asked to get into the circle, so we did. And the students started preparing for like potentially some kind of rush. The rush could have led to arrest. So the group, again, because they're well organized, but also the students were intentional and deliberate and considerate. They considered the fact that they could be arrested. They considered the fact that this is what happens when students protest. And so the students had thought through what are the potential things that can happen? What are the consequences? The students who were prepared and able to get arrested like stood closer to the front. Those who couldn't and had different priorities moved to other spaces and took on other roles. I was one of those people. So I once we saw the tension was really high, I took the personal items of Dr. Asoyne, Kelly, one of her managers, our assistants, and then Jason. I took some of their paperwork, things that they didn't want the police to take, and I still have them in the box. Wow. Just maybe one day I'll see you all again, and you can take all these papers or give them away because that would be great. Because it's campaign stuff. And so I took all those things. I got their phone numbers. I had the jail phone number written on my hand so that way, just in case something happened while I was walking away. But yeah, they held the line. I left the line. I moved to let the other students fill it up. And quite literally 5 minutes as I'm walking away, the drama starts. They move in. They push a bike up against Dr. Asoyne, and she's I don't want to say she's 70, but she's at least 65 plus.
72.
That's so I knew she's 72, but I didn't want to be rude. Let her be great. But it's she's 70 years old. She's an older woman. She's a really nice, small, petite lady. There's no reason to be putting a bike up on her. As I walked, so we walked from the WashU campus back to the library. So we came from library to WashU back to library. And there were 3 huge police, armored cars, where they come out of with all the riot gear. And the second I got to my car, they were in the parking lot of the library. And these 3 cars were zoom, zoom, zoom. And I said, am I just going to be able to walk out that way? They said, sure, of course. And I was like, okay, thank you. Because this is not unexpected. The students were peaceful. They were able to have a prayer. They had a schedule. And these and even the student leaders that were in the panel were amazing and knowledgeable and completely eloquent. But when I got there, the concept of these students, even for me still right now, the concept of me being in a circle, just drinking water, holding a line, locked arms, clapping to say yes, we want a free Palestine. We want to see divestment. We were asking for very particular things. And then to leave 2 seconds later to hear about the arrest, I'm still shocked. When I got to the fundraiser, the next step of the day, not only had she been arrested and booked, but they were communicating with lawyers. It was such a quick turnaround. It was less than an hour. Everyone was taken, everyone was booked. And I got to the fundraiser and I was like, I hope she wasn't arrested. And they're like, no, she was arrested. She's arrested. She's in bail. She's separated. This and that happened. And I'm like, it was listening to the news in real time.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, that's intense. So you were saying, getting arrested is not a part of your contribution. I don't, for me, protesting isn't a part of my contribution. I'm glad other people do it, but I don't see myself standing outside screaming. I'm not trying to minimize it or take it, but I mean, it's good that people do it, but it's just, my show is my contribution, and proselytizing to my friends. That's really fascinating stuff. That's interesting. And I'm glad, the thing about arresting protesters, especially when they're peaceful, is a blatant violation of your constitutional rights, first of all, and just, human rights. I mean, you get to speak out against your government. And if they're not being violent, there's no reason to arrest them. Now, maybe if they're prohibiting, if the university says, well, they're not letting other students get to their classes and stuff like that, that might be okay, no, go arrest them. I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying that might have been their reasoning.
Yep.
Okay, so it's pretty interesting stuff. I don't know, you're saying about not being arrested, or being arrested is not on your plate here. I'm trying to think of like what I would do, and it's hard to imagine because I'm not in the situation. If I were to get arrested over something that I know I didn't do or wasn't wrong. Again, I'm not really up for somebody shackling me in chains. I don't know. Like, I might just be like, well, sorry, dude, you're just going to have to shoot me because I'm not going to let you take me away. I'm not going to let you put me in a cage. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, I'm going to resist you, and then I'm not going to go to jail for resisting you. So we got an issue here,
right?
You
Okay.
know?
See that? I think that's the part of the conversation that I appreciated. It's like you said, you're not going to get arrested, but if you were in a position in which it's either arrest or like not right or something else, it's how do you like what is that moral conviction? And that's a question that you have to, like, a lot of my friends ask themselves, and that's why I told them, I was like, I can't know, like my story, the story for my family, because it's not just about me. Like arrest actually impacts your entire family. It can, your friend group. It can change so many things. If you don't have bail money, if you don't have, because that's the other thing that came up, like I was like, how are you going to bail them out? Well, their campaign, and she's like a well-known person. So there are people who are able to do it. And a lot of, like some of them, Illinois has no cash bail. So let them be great. But this was not in Illinois. This is Missouri. Right. It was in St. Louis, Missouri. And Missouri. Missouri, exactly. And so I think like, I never thought I knew that I could be a rally girly, and I assumed that my friends who were protesting girlies are great. I don't want to be someone who gets arrested, but that's mostly because of my family. And I think that's important to point out, like, don't do activism alone. To the people who are watching this, if your family is a family where they worry about you, or if you haven't talked to them about like how far you're willing to go for your particular belief, like my family knows I'm here. My family knows that I was in St. Louis. They knew all about that, but they were very clear. Like, no, Chibu, I'm the daughter of immigrants. They don't want me to stir the pot too much. You know, they believe in what I'm doing, but there's always a caveat of what safety looks like. And so very much be safe. I appreciated that the Jill Stein party, like the Jill Stein campaign, respected the decision, respected like my thought process, and just like pivoted. Okay, cool, great. We know that you're not going to arrest us, so now you can do something else. But I'm still stunned. I don't think that I know for a fact that nothing that the students did, nothing that Jill Stein did, nothing that the campaign did would have warranted arresting. And I think the amount of force that they used, what I saw in videos, which I heard from Jill Stein later, was they pushed a bike on her face. And it's less funny. But if you watch the video, like I would not want someone treating my body like that. And something that happened. So there were, like I said, I was able to coordinate with the students. I was able to talk to the student leaders, some of the younger folks who are my age, people who were and were not students, but who were part of the organizing of the Solidarity encampment. And one of them was a student who's of college age, but wasn't a student, and was a community member. And they were like dodging the police. So again, they waited until it was dark. So they waited until it was dusk. Like I got to the fundraiser in the nighttime. And then they put people in like right at dusk. And so they also made a point to make it more dangerous for the students and for the people involved. One of the people, they grabbed them by the legs, and they were hand in hand. They grabbed them by the legs and then had them fall. And so now they're stuck hand in hand because we hold the line. We're real ones. They held the line and they're like uplifted. And they were people who I was talking with at the event earlier today, and it freaks me out, the level of force that the police utilized. I do not appreciate that. And I think that it was not warranted, because the other thing that the elder people said, which I think was amazing, was, Washington University in St. Louis is able to call all of these police officers, not only the ones for their specific area and then the city that's designated for the WashU campus, you're also having sheriff's police departments from different places, right? It's not just the St. Louis ones. It's all like it's like 3-4 of them, all the ones on the Missouri side, not the Illinois side, which I thought was interesting, but all the people on the Missouri side of we are going to get all these police people, give them all the resources to detain somebody. And yet, in poor neighborhoods, in Black neighborhoods, in lower resource neighborhoods, you're having a long 911 call wait. They brought up, how is it that I have a noise like I'm having a noise and nuisance? I think is something that like is like a big thing that the police can deal with, or is a thing that the police can deal with. And it's like, well, I'm waiting 6, 7, 10 minutes for this. I need an ER person, and like I'm having a stroke, and you're not coming, but when you are at this university that's private, and that's why I bring up it's a private university. Would they have done this at another school, at Mizzou? Maybe, like if they had, would they have treated Mizzou students the way that they're treating Washington University students? And are they trying to make an example, which I do think that they were trying to do? And it wasn't pretty. And so they arrested all these students. They arrested all these community members. They arrested political figures, and all just to front on something that the entire country is actually more so behind. And the reasons why the students are protesting were very legitimate. And that's always important to like come back to again. So they did all this force and have all these other problems when it comes to other situations and the police responds. But when it's a private school with elite kids, because again, like this is like a Harvard Ivy, like it's an Ivy League, but in the Midwest, for anyone who maybe isn't.
It's a very prestigious school, yes.
It's a very prestigious school. So that's something that I've been thinking about actually with these encampments. Columbia, WashU,
UCLA, yeah.
And UCLA is like technically it's a public school, right?
Oh, I always thought it was private.
University of California at Los Angeles, really?
I mean, the letter suggests it's public, but I always, it's so high up there. I guess I always just sort of subconsciously assumed it was private, but I never really looked.
Fair. So I believe that UCLA is a public school, but okay, as you said, it's very like from the Illinois side, it's basically another private school of
Can California. I look that up? Do you mind?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I mean, I believe you, but I need to see it. I need empirical verification.
Yes, and so like, I think what I don't appreciate is these are private schools that are going to lead to federal changes that will impact a majority of federally funded schools. Some private schools get federal funds because of life and how they work, but all state schools, all community colleges will receive some kind of federal funds. So what they're doing in Columbia, what they did at UCLA when the police through not even just tear gas. They broke into a building to get into the students.
Oh yeah, I saw that. But did the students there like seize the building? Breaking stuff. I mean, I think okay. I love we're talking about two different things. Yeah, we need protesters in America to be like protesters in Europe. You know what protesters in Europe do when cops throw tear gas cans at them? They throw them back.
Oh, that's next level.
And like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of violence myself, but if somebody's again, if you're gonna like attack me, then I'm not gonna just sit there and let you do it. Okay, that's ridiculous. Okay, so let's talk about labor because obviously Darren's really into this. Again, Darren, I don't know a lot of what you're referring to, but let's talk about labor and the Green Party and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any? And anybody else who's watching? As Darren has illustrated, there's a comment section on the right there. Feel free to post any questions, comments, concerns, your own testimonies about things, whatever. Okay. Is labor something you've thought about, dealt with, or anything else? Or like, I mean, Darren, you're not wrong. I mean, like, there is such a thing as labor rights, and it's one of the greatest challenges against capitalism is that inherent in the system of capitalism, laborers have no rights. It's all the owners.
Yeah.
And where socialism comes in, I mean, immediately, the dawn of the Industrial Revolution and the inception of capitalism, The socialized labor movement started showing up right away as a response to it. And the thing is, again, I think you and I were talking about this a little bit last night. People think that socialism merely means like the government controlling all markets and industries. That's literally like one socialist camp, and that was Marx. And he meant that temporarily. He meant it as like a transition, right? To the end goal of Marxism is actually anarchism. It's actually no government at all. But like you can't predict the future as easily as he did. Like, oh, this is going to happen, and this is no, it doesn't work that way. That's why you see a lot of like things not working out well in these Marxist countries. But no, capitalism is stupid for that very reason. If I'm involved in a project, then I should be able to like have a say in what goes on.
It's such a small thing. Darren, something that I do want to talk about or have an opinion on is how people are forced into plea deals. So essentially, if you get arrested for something, regardless of what it is, it could be that you did that thing or you didn't. And then the state's job after you're arrested is to like prove that you did this thing or find other things and then prove that you've done this, like these stuff. If you are like anyone in Illinois, you probably don't have a lot of money to be like throwing towards having so many trials, having so many, like going to the court, taking time off work, driving, everything under the sun that costs money, because everything costs money in this state. You will be forced into taking a plea deal because it's easier. It's cheaper. And if you're going for the cheapest option, a plea deal for something that's like a lower side will make your life easier. And that is an issue. And so I would say that it's something that I've been keeping in mind since in Champaign and in Central Illinois, we do have there is one particular correctional facility in Central Illinois. It's in Danville. There's another one actually there's another one that's closing, and the Illinois is trying to think through, like it's in St. Charles, I believe, but it's closing. And it's the idea of how do you work through the criminal justice system? I think from the Green Party perspective, we do want bail reform. We do want like giving people who are in jail who are I think it's like a non-violent crime or not an aggravated crime, that they should be able to vote based on the laws that we have. And so I do want to bring that up to Darren. The Illinois Green Party, the Green Party in general, wants to have every single resident, every single citizen of our country, regardless if they're incarcerated or not, have an ability to say how they would like the laws to be. Medicare for all, single payer healthcare, those are all two things that I'm very big on. And then the Green Party is also big on. I care about Medicare for all and a single payer healthcare system because it's going to be cheaper for the taxpayer rather than what we currently have, which is very low quality, very high cost. I don't appreciate that.
I want to know what kind of sociopath doesn't want healthcare coverage for everybody. Like, that's insanity.
Can you imagine?
No, not for myself at least. And it is cheaper. Okay, so like the country's healthcare system that gets ranked number one more often than any other country by the WHO, like almost every year, is Canada's.
Yeah.
And the other ones that follow, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are all socialized in one way or another, single payer, whatever. Again, going back to the definition of socialism, there really isn't one definition. There's all sorts of different ways of doing, if you will, a single payer system, or just not a capitalist-based, insurance-based system. Okay, for example, Canada, as far as I know, at least most, if not all, of the hospitals and clinics are privately owned. It's not the government controlling them. They got rid of insurance companies, and the doctors, if you will, bill the government. Everybody pays a little bit of taxes to their health care. It goes to the government. So they centralize basically just the allocation of funds.
Yeah.
Which in centralization is something you got to watch for, because a lot of times it doesn't work. In simpler systems, it works quite well. And, here's the bill. Okay, well, here's your money. Boom, that's it. It's over. It's very simple. So I know, I think it's Norway or Finland or Sweden, one of those guys up there with the 3-finger
situations.
Yeah. They one of them, you can privately open a clinic, a hospital, whatever, but it has to be nonprofit. Like that kind of thing. That's another option. Okay, there's all sorts of different options. Everybody needs to calm down. I'm not asking like for some like, draconian, authoritarian, tyrannical government to take over your healthcare. In fact, I know plenty of doctors. I got 2 of my friends in California that are ER doctors, and I'm like pleading with them to come on the show. And I know a lot of doctors because I lived by a hospital, blah, blah, blah. I don't know one of them that likes the idea of like the massive amount of government regulations in healthcare right now. They hate it. Because what happens is that they take the government, I should retract that. The insurance companies, since they're the ones flipping the bill, get to make all the decisions, which means you take the expertise away from the actual doctors who know what to do in a situation like that because, well, they're doctors.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but, insurance companies want to like save money and that kind of thing. Yeah, no, and it's a very complex issue. And Darren, I appreciate you bringing up like labor and that kind of thing. And that's a huge deal. And real quick, I just want to say about labor. Well, I'm going to repeat myself about labor. Is that labor rights is a real thing. And it just astonishes me that like how we allow like employers to treat employees in this country. And like, I'm a philosopher and a logician. I'm concerned about consistency and the better ideas. That's what I want to see. And I've seen employers like you say, okay, do this. And I'm like, that's not the right thing to do. But I can't do anything about that. Like that's not the better option of what would solve the problem right now, but I have to do it anyway. And I guess I really resent the idea that I have to do that, which I know is not the better option. As a rational person and an educated person, like I know this is wrong, but I have to do it. No, I don't drive on that.
Yeah.
Labor is still a huge issue. Darren, you're right. And you brought up Eugene Webs. Oh, if he was still around, that'd be great. World War I, he ran for president, but he got thrown in jail because he spoke out against the war and that kind of thing. The man's a hero. But anybody else who wants to comment, please do.
I'll say one more thing to Darren. You had mentioned in the comments Jason Call, who, for those of you who may not know, is Jill Stein's campaign manager, or at least one of them. I was able to meet him on the April weekend. He was also arrested. I am not like I'm in adjacent with Jill Stein's campaign, so I don't like work through their particular policies. And so I would definitely recommend if you're in her Slack or maybe on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, like doing things that way. But I will say that like Jason's Call and I have been able to think through what is the perspective of young people that are thinking through like labor. How are younger people perceiving the benefits that have been told that we're going to be given? So like if you work for a company, in theory they can give you health insurance, but what happens when they don't? And a lot of places are, if you're working part-time, then you don't agree. I will go ahead and bring that back up to, since I'm in Illinois, and I am working adjacently with the Jill Stein campaign. When we have our next weekly meeting, I'll bring that back up of like what workers' comp might look like. But ultimately, if we have Medicare for all, and we make sure that unions realize that the people who are supporting them aren't against them, like we want what you all want. We want you all to feel safe, feel like you're getting the money's worth, and that you can afford the products that you're building. And when it comes to like workers' comp, you would have that consideration, like it would be cheaper because you now have Medicare for all, because we have single payer health code. I also think it's important for Medicare for all also includes dental for me in my area in Illinois. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Jasmine Sherman, the Fat Black Socialist. They were great. They were on your show.
She's awesome.
Right? They are amazing. I saw, I knew about them beforehand, but hearing them and seeing them on the Illinois, like the Illinois platform was great. They said that they want to have a dentist that's covered and practices fully in every single zip code in every single place in the country. And so for me, I think about Illinois. There's so many places, there's so many people who are either underinsured because they have multiple part-time jobs, or they are insured and do not use their insurance because of out-of-pocket cost. Right. So what happens when your root canal and your wisdom teeth are all covered now? They typically cost thousands of dollars. Like one wisdom
root
teeth.
canals are, yeah.
And I'm like, but most of us have wisdom teeth, so why is it not covered? Like, how does that not work? How are you not in network? Everyone's a network now. Everyone's a network. We take everything. The government, we pay for it with our taxes, and we use the government to levy power and to make it so that's cheaper. Like, that's what I want for my community. And I think that, like, part of why I'm running for Congress is so that when a presidential candidate maybe isn't, like, that's not their focus, I can bring that to the table. I can think, so again, with Darren, like the workers' comp, if there is particular things coming on, or if there's workers who are in fields where you obviously will get workers' comp, like if you're construction, if you're like a trash person, if you are a librarian and you get hit by a bunch of books, like if whatever your job is, you would have access to the dental to get your teeth fixed. You would have access to skin grafts to get new skin, because that's something that happens.
Like if you get burned on your arm, they take skin from your leg, and
exactly. And I also, in thinking about my workers' comp and thinking about how do we support people who now have a disability or who are not able to work, it would also include making sure that your pension goes to your family. Right now, there's pensions in Illinois where you can work, but if you don't make it to, like, even if you make it to 50 years, I mean, let's say 15 years, if you like aren't married, then that pension goes to nobody. If you don't have it, if you're married but don't have a kid, your pension doesn't go to anybody. Your pension can just go away because you didn't mark some weird box. Right. But no, your family, your friends, the people who take care of you need that money and rely on that and rely on you right now as your income. So when it comes to my federal workers' rights, because it's congressional, I want to make sure that the people who take care of our workers are also taken care of when our workers are harmed.
Yeah, very cool. No, very cool. Well, Darren, I hope that addresses some of your questions and concerns. And, glad to have you on. And I'm glad, you're coming from Washington State, which is awesome that you heard about the show. But that's very cool. Again, anybody else who wants to comment, please, there's a comment section, or ask a question, or just say hi. That'd be great. Okay, we talked last night about some things we want to talk about today. Again, I had a couple of beers up the point, so hopefully I'll remember. But no, I'm just kidding. I do. We were talking about inflation.
Yep.
Right? Yes. And I think we talked about that a bit the first time you were on the show, right? Didn't you have some sort of plan for that?
Yes. I would say that I'm seeing it very tangibly now as the mainstream media is picking up on the price gouging that was already happening from like big corporations. But when it comes to inflation, I feel it in a way that is very frustrating. I wouldn't say recently got a raise, but last year I got a raise for this upcoming year. And it was cool to finally get a raise for the first time. However, my raise has gotten eaten up with inflation completely. Like between my first paycheck and the paycheck I'm getting now, it was only $118 more, which in theory is like, wow, you're getting $100 more, $18 a month. So if you like, okay, well, it's $2,000 more dollars than you would across the year. But I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I can pay for things. I buy cheap things. The things that are expensive in my life are $30. Like my face wash is one of the most expensive things that I buy on a semi-regular basis because it's Clinique. It's really good. So
I dated a young lady who used Clinique.
Okay.
She was a model.
I bet she never broke out because I never break out.
She was gorgeous. Oh my God.
I just want to let me just say, I'm sorry. Because I'm on TV, I'm going to do this. It's a special little shout out to Clinique. I do not break out on my worst days. And it's the summer now. You can't pay for that kind of beauty.
No, that's great. No, you look great. Yeah, you do. You have a very nice complexion, and I can see that.
Okay, and it's worth the $30. But like I hear, like I watch TV because I watch TV all the time. I mean, I don't watch CNN, but I watch CNN with my family and stuff. But I'm like, I'm plugged into what mainstream media says, MSNBC, Politico, the Chicago Tribune, and I just keep seeing how the economy's great and like why it's not that bad for you to be not able to buy a home. Something in the last, I'll say 6 months, but the last 5 months particularly, a lot of my particular like hope when it came to like wages have become dashed with a dose of reality. I thought that I would be able to take my family's home and just take on that mortgage. That's not feasible anymore for me. And
It's not feasible for a lot of people.
It's not feasible for a lot of people. And if you're one of those people who are like me, who are like, well, I'm from an upper middle class family. I'm Nigerian, like we're Nigerian immigrants. So any stereotypes that you have, like my family can own in some way, shape, or form. Like we benefit from being Nigerian and being African and being different and all those things. And yet here I am still very, very clearly feeling like my wage doesn't mean anything. Like I'm going to be pivoting from a full-time job to full-time campaigning. And at this point, I'm like, well, what is savings? Because food already costs $15. Like food is $19 to get a meal I'm 27. Like I'm not a big girl, but I eat. Okay. You know, so like I'm a mature adult. I eat real food. I eat Culver's. I eat like Freddy's, which is my new
What's Freddy's? Is that a fast food place?
So it is. It's fast food. It's the same price. It's just like it's really right between like Culver's, which is $19, to McDonald's, which is like $18. It's Freddy's. It's right between there. It has really good French fries. I'm gonna say it's Freddy's like steakhouse and custard or frozen custard and something. It's just a general. It's like I'm assuming it's newer, but it's like a little more 50s, more like Shake Shack kind of.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, but it's good.
I like
it's
that
really
kind of stuff. There's some decent fast food out there. No, real quick, I remember like a couple days ago, somebody I went to high school with, Robin Reese. That's her maiden name. She I don't remember her married name. But she posted like this chart of like what like different Taco Bell, McDonald's, blah blah blah, cost like merely like in 2016 to like now like just this isn't going to be exactly right, but it's real close. It'll illustrate the point. Like let's say in 2016, like a double cheeseburger was like $1.50 at McDonald's, and now it's like $3.47 or something like that. Like it's just, and the 2016 is not that long ago, and it's just when COVID. And again, as we were talking about last night. One of there's literally one direct immediate cause of inflation. Now, before I say what it is, there are things that lead up to that as a cause. That's for sure. But there's only one direct immediate cause. Remember the words direct immediate. Mm-hmm. And that's people raising prices. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Now you might have to raise your prices because you somewhere in your supply chain for your products that you're selling or things that you'll need for services went up. I get that. But there are also the family that owns Arizona tea. You ever had Arizona tea?
I do like Arizona tea.
Okay, so literally since it was a big deal in like Snapple and Arizona were a big deal like back in the 90s, I remember. And it was a huge craze on college campuses and everything. Snapple, you could like hit the top and it went snap, snap, snap.
Yeah.
But the family that owns Arizona tea, unless I'm being misled, have never once raised their prices, not one time, and they're billionaires. So with the ups and downs of inflation, they never raise their prices, and they're fine. You don't have to always raise your price.
It's 99 cents.
This obsession with profit is unbelievable. You're going to be okay. It's okay.
I think that's the dose of reality that Washington needs. It's always profit. Like if you can make one more cent, one more penny, you will screw over every other person that you possibly can to make that penny for that cent. And I'm like, are you not you're fine. You're good. You have the life that you want. You have millions of billions of dollars. And I still drink Arizona. I love Snapple. I mean, you can't raise it that much more since the audience that you're trying to the audience that you are trying to have buy your things does not have is having less and less money.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's craziness. Profit can probably be used as the cause of a great many problems in our world. You just got to calm down. You know how much money Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, makes per hour, whether he's actually working or not. By the way,
I know it's big.
it's
but
like 400. It's like $400,000 an hour.
See, I wasn't even gonna get that. I'm over here like, because for me,
That's insane.
And this is what we need in Washington. The concept of $200,000 as a concept of money to spend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't. How many? Like, I can see a lot of. I can buy out a movie theater. That's what I would do with $200,000. I'd buy out a local movie theater so that way we can just watch movies all day for free. Like, that's what I would do.
Idea. I love
Isn't
it.
that going to be fun? I know the first movie I'm going to watch, but that's not what $200,000 does to other people, like for other people.
Right.
And it's this huge disconnect between what I think, what normal workers, people think about, like how like the perception of how cost, like how money works. And then when you're only thinking about millions and billions of dollars, then you're okay with making so that you'll take $50 more if it means that the worker doesn't get compensation anymore, that pregnant woman doesn't get to have like care anymore. It's the free market is not a free hand. It's being moved by something, and it's being coerced by something. Because if I'm a person who buys things, if I'm a consumer, and I'm perfectly happy with the $15 cost, and that gets me the pregnant person who's having a baby they get to have insurance, they get to have their benefits when they're not working. Like that market price is what I'm willing to pay. Right. But that's not what they're doing.
Right.
That's not what they're doing. No. And I don't know if it's because I'm 27 now, and maybe it's because I'm able to finally run for office outside of like the state-based issues. But I'm like, the market has decided what actually is wanted, like what people want. People want workers to have more equity in a store. Workers and like people who own things and people who buy things actually do want. I want the person who makes my energy drink. If I'm paying $14, I'm actually okay with them making a living wage. But that's not what's happening. We're okay with the results of these like market things, but the people who are manipulating the market are manipulating it in a way that only they get to win.
Yeah, no, they're creating the logistics of the system so that the money flows to them instead of anybody else. So that right there is not a free market, folks. That is absolutely not a free market.
It's literally the opposite.
Fully rigged. And so, okay.
In my heart, in my actual soul. And like the parties don't want to change. So no party is perfect. And I don't believe in perfection regardless, because it's unhealthy. Right. And no individual person will be able to fix all of your problems. Yet I wanted a political party that ran candidates to build policy that would make things change.
Right.
So if I need all these things, then I say yes, the Green Party. And I'm still learning the ins and outs and stuff like that. But I definitely know that the things I want to achieve, the end results, the concrete results that materially benefit like my community today, tomorrow, that will give them relief. That Medicare for all, I get from the Green Party. That dentist, I got that from Jasmine Sherman. Like I need results, and I read results yesterday. The inflation, that's what the mainstream media is saying. The mainstream media is finally agreeing that inflation is caused by the people who are just increasing the prices.
Right.
That was something that we both knew 3 years ago, and now the people who wanted to keep us silent have now just caught up to the irreconcilable fact that, it was just it was inflation that we experienced right now or yesterday was because of just price gouging.
Right. That's exactly
and the government's job is to fix that. Like the federal government's job is to make it so that way when those things happen, they're redressed. we need redress, and we need a redress that actually focuses on the middle class, working class, rather than what I think is going to happen, which is a bailout for businesses in the next.
Oh yeah, that's always how it is.
I'm going to assume that's going to be February is when the market is going to crash after the election.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Chibu Asoyne's prediction: February next year, economic crash, noticeable, relevant, significant. Okay.
February 19th, because why not?
February 19th. Oh, that day. Oh, that's very specific. Do you have a time of the day?
You know what I'll say? I'll say 7:56 in the morning, because all of the naughty trades would have happened the night before.
Naughty. Yeah, that's okay. Well, you heard it here. It's documented. It's out there. It's archived.
Forever.
So we'll see what happens. That's one of the cool things I like about my life, because I'm poor and I choose to be poor. I choose to be poor. Like I got my degrees. I could make $80,000 a year sitting in a cubicle too. I'd rather chew off my own tongue personally, but or my arm. I'm 54. I'm not married. I don't have any kids, I think, and I live with my mother. Sorry, that was. I don't need money. I'm a philosopher. I posted on Facebook. I'm a philosopher. My main goal in life is knowledge, but that's why I'm poor. So I don't really care. I never liked money. Money's actually a very empty, has no meaning. Objective meaning. There's literally objectively. So we have objective value, like health is an objective value. Education is an objective value. Knowledge, truth, beauty, all these, your typical kind of stuff, right? There's literally no such thing as monetary value. It doesn't exist. It's all nonsense. It's all made up. Okay. When so this costs $1. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. This is not $1. This is a pen, and its value is in its function. Okay.
Yes.
So it's nothing to do with money. You have things like, to show the definition of false is that which is contradictory. Okay. So you like this, I'm going to get a little logical on you here. The basic law of logic is the law of non-contradictions, which means you can't have A and not A simultaneously. Obviously that wouldn't make any sense. Simultaneously. That's a big part of it. You can have A and then not A. That's fine. But for example, you take it. How much is $1 worth here? 100 pennies, right? Okay. How much is an American dollar worth in England? 125 pennies. Well, how did that happen? How can it be worth 100 pennies and not 100 pennies all at the same time? That doesn't, which means that the system of currency is inherently contradictory. It's a false system. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I mean, people get bored when I talk about logic, but logic is very important, by the way. So it's the basis of math and science. So
that is true.
This is how you check systems, and this is how you check propositions and claims by people. It's like, well, wait a minute, that's a contradiction. That can't be true. Like literally, it can't be true. So just little food for thought there. So politicians do it all the time. You want to see the vast amount of fallacies and contradictions? Listen to politicians.
Have you? That part, something else I want to bring up is the ICC, the International Criminal Courts. So they recently submitted a proposal to get arrests, which means to get warrants. Thank you. So submitted the process to start getting warrants for potential war crimes across both from Israeli and from the Hamas groups. And it's this concept of I'm watching people try to have their cake and eat it too, particularly from the United States, Department of Defense, where they're like, well, we don't like what is happening in Gaza, and we know that there's a humanitarian issue that's happening there. At the same time, there's no redress in any other way to fix it. We're just going to focus on this one aspect. And it's if there's something bad happening in one place, there's a reason why something bad is happening. And we need to address all of those things together rather than picking and choosing when we want to have our cake and eat it too. Which I wouldn't say it's cake really, but that's the only idiom that I have in mind.
No, that works. I get it. No, that makes sense. Keep what you want and get rid of what you want again at the same time. That's you can't do that. You can either keep it or you can get rid of it. You can't have it both ways. That's I heard that the other day. I was like, whoa, man, that is bold. going after two major leaders like that, especially not, and like say, oh no, if the judge allows for these warrants, we're going to arrest you. I don't know how they're going to infiltrate Israel to get to them, or Gaza for that matter.
Yeah.
That's probably, I don't know. This might just be symbolic. We'll see. Like in effect. I mean, I think they mean it. I think they want to. The ICC or the ICJ. No, international. Is there an ICJ, International Court of?
There is an ICJ.
ICJ, right.
The
ICC Court of Justice.
Yeah.
I don't know that they have warrants, but I know that there's tribunals that really want to talk to some American sheriffs for their crimes against humanity, going back to cops. American cops are on their list. It's nuts. That'll be really interesting to see. Assuming that the judge gives them the warrants, which might not happen. I have no idea. But if they do, I want to see how this goes. Very interesting. We're at an hour. Is there anything else you want to talk about a little bit?
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess it's more like a plug than. Okay. So on May 29th, which is a Wednesday, the last Wednesday of May, which is going to be in 2 weeks, there is some major things happening in Illinois District 13. Okay. So if you want a ceasefire in Gaza, if you want our hostages back, if you are currently upset and disappointed with our current Illinois District 13 incumbent, and you want something different, you want to change, follow me on Instagram and stuff. But there is, we're having a day of solidarity and a day of action on May 29th across our district. Springfield, Decatur, Belleville, everyone is doing something within our district. So I wanted to say, if you have been wanting to if you wanted to become a part or learn more about the anti-war effort in Illinois and peace, and even more so what we think should happen the day after. If you want peace, if you want humanity, if you want to be moral, if you don't want cruelty, May 29th, come out to your local district office for Illinois District 13 and come out with other constituents to highlight, this is our way of saying we're not happy. We want something different, and you can't have your cake this way and eat it too, because we're not going to vote you back in.
Right.
So May 29th, I want everyone to peace on hold. It's been told to me to put on hold. And one of the things that are happening is across the districts.
Okay, very cool. No, that's great. Yeah, and that's one of the things too so great about the Green Party. Actually, even the Libertarian Party is that we're both very anti-war. And we want to end imperialism. We want to end war and that kind of thing. So our vision, our socio-political economic vision is bigger than just the current topic here or current topic there, that kind of thing. We have an actual long-term futuristic vision for everybody. To live in a peaceful world and being able to choose your own lifestyle for yourself. And that kind of thing. And so the Green Party is a great entity to be a part of. I'm very happy. And it looks like you are as well.
Well, I haven't been upset yet. And I will say that
you're going to be. It's politics. You're going to have disagreements with somebody. I won't name names, but I've been miffed a couple times at some Green Party members. I'm like, are you serious? So go ahead.
I cannot wait. So, the Democrats have problems and they have tea, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. But now I'm like, oh, okay, individualism. What is this? Who are we? Hello, how are you doing today? I'm just going to be here drinking the tea and being happy. Because what was it? There was someone else I got into. We just had a difference of opinions on school choice and that whole situation and that concept and that idea of what's the best way to fund public schools? What's the best way to fund schools? How do you get kids to have education? And we have to have Montessori schools. And I'm like, I didn't grow up with that. So I don't, I hear it's fine, but I like
Montessori schools.
Montessori schools. Yeah,
no, they're great. No, they teach kids, to be well-mannered and not jerks. And so no, Montessori schools, as far as I understand, do a lot of good. They're very effective.
Okay. So that's what I hear. I hear they're good. And I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with traditional public school. We're in a brick and mortar place for however many hours a day. And so we were getting into the weeds of why Montessori school was so important. in the means to create better education system. And I was like, I just want there to be less than 32 students in a classroom. So if you have your passion area, I was like, if you have this passion area that you've looked at and you've looked into, I am not going to tell you that it's a bad idea. I'm going to listen to you because this is new. And I think I like that. I like coming to a party and like hearing more distinctive details that come from the person's heart rather than just come from like profit motive. And so, you know, maybe one of these days we'll get into an argument and I'm just like, but I don't really debate. Like I'm not a debater. I'm more of a, we can talk through my side and your side. And
yeah, no, we can do that too. But no, I mean, I'm actually trained in argument, so I can debate.
Okay, philosophy. Yes.
Exactly. The philosophy is so awesome. But anyway, yeah, no, that's all good. You know, Jill Stein said something on an interview, or one that I watched the other day. I don't know if it was that recent that she did the interview, but like, you know, just because we're part of the same political party doesn't mean that we're not individuals. We all each have our own ways of going about, you know, expressing what Green Party, you know, platform positions are to us. And like, I think I was saying this to you last night, is that, you know, if you have like an arguably consistent interpretation of a given platform, that's very much welcome. It's when this is a ridiculous example, but that's the point of the example. Is like if you had a Green Party member saying, "No, I think we should put more pollution into the water," that's obviously not going to fly, you know. So, you know, but that's obviously just stupid. Nobody's going to say that. But like, you know, different avenues or approaches to the solutions to climate change and pollution. So you know how many different possible things are considered as solutions to climate change? There's dozens of them. You know, and some people like, you know, A, B, and C. The other ones like X, Y, Z. Okay. And, you know, that's fine. We can talk about that. Again, they're arguably consistent, each and every one, even though they're kind of mutually exclusive to each other, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, very cool. Oh, we're okay. We're about 6-7 minutes over here. That was fabulous. That just flew by. You know, it's always just astonishing to me. Like when I'm having a great time on the show, like it's like that. Like I feel like I just started the show. And like
honestly,
it's like it's over, and you know what that means though.
Let's come back.
Is we're gonna have to have you on again.
Okay, I'll have my people contact your people.
Yes, thank you. Have your people call my people. We'll do lunch. But
do lunch. I don't know. You're like, I'm assuming you're in Chicago.
I'm north of Chicago. You're 3 hours just south of me. I just went to Effingham a couple weekends ago, and I went through Champaign-Urbana.
Nice.
Oh, Chibu's here.
Yeah. When you're driving back, we'll get lunch.
Absolutely, we'll get lunch. And I like I said, I'm poor, so it'll have to be on you. But I'm just kidding. I'm not that poor.
You know, oh my gosh, I can't.
We'll go to Freddy's. No, I had friends that went to Champaign. I partied there a bunch of times. That's a cool campus, man. I had a lot of fun. That was a long time ago. Good Lord. but very cool. Okay, and Darren, thanks for tuning in and giving us your insight and feedback on all this stuff. We have heard you, and you're right. Labor rights are extremely important. That are nothing to be like scoffed at. A lot of people think it's just kind of like petty nonsense. Like just do your job. No. You know, so part of the reason why you open a business is to afford employees a livable wage. And if you can't do it, then don't open a business.
Right.
Everybody thinks, oh, no, it's just merely to, pay the stockholders or make a profit. It's not the only reason. Okay. You have to consider morality when everything you do, folks. You can't just live in a vacuum. This is what I say to some of my libertarian friends, and they're not nearly all like this, even close, but some of them are a little, if you want to do everything for yourself, fine, then go do everything by yourself. Because if you're a part of a group, you're expected to participate and you're expected to share. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So be sure to call on. Okay. So, that just reminds me that I don't know enough about Jason Call to do that quite yet, Darren, but I will look into that for sure. Just to remind everybody, 2 weeks from tonight, June 4th, Dr. Jill Stein will be on the show. I can't even, this is crazy. I'm like, what? That's crazy. So that's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to talking to her. She's a wonderful lady and very intelligent and very well spoken and has a lot of great ideas. So I can call her AOC too. I just emailed AOC asking her to come on the show so I can call her out. because she and Bernie Sanders belong in the Green Party. I don't know what they're doing. They're wasting their times as Democrats. Oh, he's like, because Bernie Sanders started the Progressive Caucus. I mean, you know how many people are in it? Like 400. Ooh. You know, yeah. That's not going to do anything. So anyway, all right, we gotta go. So I literally have a tornado warning or watch coming. Like, you know,
oh yeah, I got a dust storm. So it's not raining here. I heard it rain really bad in the north, but we're having dust storms over here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's coming from the west to the east, and it's like I think it's coming from like southern Iowa. So probably because some of it's going to hit you. Yeah, no, it's supposed to get pretty nasty. I like storms though. I'm a big fan of storms.
Are you a storm chaser?
Not a chaser, but a lover. I'm a storm lover.
Only on videos. Those tornadoes really got me.
Tornadoes are nasty. No, I mean, I guess I fantasize about like if I knew I was safe, I'd like to see one. You know, but that's a very specific wish.
If you're safe.
Yeah, right. That's all I can say. So, all right, I gotta go. All right, Chibu Asoyne, GP candidate for Illinois District 13. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure, my friend, and I will chat with you soon for sure. Have a wonderful evening. Be safe if any storm stuff is coming. Again, Darren, thank you for your input here, and anybody else who's watching, thank you for tuning into the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, be good, be green. All right, hold on, don't go anywhere.